Good morning, friends. I promised you that we talk about digressive behavior, so let's hit that real quick. So, again, number one is worry, where our most dominant thoughts are more about what might go wrong instead of what we can do to solve the problem. Number two is excusitis, making excuses for everything does not go right or as we desire it. Three is finger pointers, an attempt to shift responsibility away from self to someone else when life doesn't go the way we think it should. Four is perception of failure, when we see failure as terminal. We see it as an extension of who we are and automatically assign the result to our character. I don't know about you, but I've met lots of people, and I've probably been a person that when a mistake is made or when something doesn't work out, I overly personalize it in a way that's harmful to my mental health. Number five is low self-esteem. When we don't like ourselves or depreciate our capabilities to be progressive, we do dumb things. These actions feed and give life to lower self-esteem, which in turn perpetuates doing more dumb things, and it becomes a vicious cycle. Six is externally focused, being obsessed with how they look, the kinds of clothes we wear, the cars we drive, labels, status, and quantity. They attempt to get self-worth by having things and rely on the reactions of others to their apparent success to nurture and give balm to their wounded self-esteem. Indecisiveness, being incapable of making a decision due to preoccupation with what other people think. There's a lot in people-pleasing about that. Like, well, if one person likes this and another person likes that, how am I going to make them both happy? And then they're just paralyzed, unable to make a decision. Number eight, if I had, then I could. This is a lot about, I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when I'm sober. I'll be happy when my parents get sober. I'll be happy when I have the new car or a better job or my kids are less stressed or whatever. When our happiness is based on external things that we sometimes don't have control over, it makes us feel worse. Reactivity. This one is seriously my favorite thing because reactivity creates a puppet and puppet master relationship with life. So what that means is I only do something when something makes me do it. So it says responding only when stimulated usually brings frustration. If the only time we act is when we're acted upon, we have a puppet and puppeteer relationship with life. Reactive people have a stimulus addiction. And I had never thought about that before, but basically I can only do something if something's making me. So a deadline or feedback from someone else or an ultimatum or things like that, as opposed to me being able to wake up and say, I could improve myself and I'm going to do it because I see it and I look at it. But what happens is when our actions are dependent on the degree and the intensity of the stimulus, we become reactive and then we don't know who we would be just if it was up to us. And the thing about reactivity is reactive mentality requires a search for reasons to absolve responsibility. So if I only ever do something because someone or something pushes me to do it, then I don't have to take responsibility for myself. And that doesn't feel empowering or anything like that. Then we have fear motivated. So when the choices we make are based on the fear of the outcome, if we don't do it or if we do it. 11 is holding grudges. Holding a person in emotional debt against some past deeds seems to artificially inflate one's self-worth. If we can mentally keep others indebted to us with a grudge, we erroneously feel that somehow makes us superior. Now, I want to differentiate between the forgiving and the holding grudges because there are times where there are people in your life that you will forgive because holding on to the anger isn't healthy for you. But that doesn't mean that your boundaries around their access to you have to change. And just because you're holding a boundary does not mean that you're holding a grudge. So be really clear. I will say that I meet a lot of people that want to set a boundary when they're angry or upset or hurt. And those boundaries are very hard to sustain. Because once we get mad, get less mad or less hurt or whatever, we stop holding the boundary. But when we hold a boundary because we love ourselves and we know that we deserve to have safety and positive relationships, those are way more sustainable. So differentiating between holding grudges and holding a boundary is really important in this context, because when I hold a boundary, I'm saying that I matter and I love myself and I deserve good things. Whereas when I'm holding a grudge, I'm just mad all the time, and it just it's not good for my mental health. And the last one on the digressive side is eye trouble. So paying attention to everything affects me. I am the center of the universe and everything revolves around me. Our inability to see other people as people and having struggles and challenges of their own can really interfere with our ability to find happiness and peace and joy. Because again, if I have expectations without considering the other person, then that's not very kind. And so paying attention to what are my expectations? How do I have reasonable requests without expecting the world to revolve around me? So paying attention to, if you're guilty of one on the digressive side, what is the progressive counterpart that you can look to and achieve and work toward? And this is a process. It's going to take months, years even for some people, but paying attention to what do I need to do to improve my own sense of self and the way I engage with the world and others. Have a good week.